Brought to you by Ardecor. We keep you covered. And Horizon Recording Live. Live sound for your events.
All right, let me get my timer up and running. Let me powder my beautiful nose. Okay. Welcome to Comeback Liner. It's a Chicago sports podcast brought you from the fans by the fans. And to my left is Kyle and Q, and to my right is Sinan. And Q, so what do you think about the opening day for the White Sox, the opening week?
We're talking about America's team, right? America's team, the Chicago White Sox. This year's a rebuilding year. So essentially, they're not going to be competing in the Central. We're going to be looking to trade assets. Hopefully, Soria is pretty good. And everything is about the development of players. So is Moncada going to be able to hit 260, 280, lower those strikeouts down from 150 Ks to maybe 120? That'd be nice to see. I think that's a stretch.
The way he started, that's a big stretch.
Giolito.
I think he gets
Ronaldo
hit way
Lopez.
too hard. I think Giolito gets crushed. When he played the Futures game, the guy from Texas, the 40 home run bomb,
Joey Gallo?
Joey Gallo took him yard. I was like, who the hell is this guy?
Joey Gallo takes everybody yard, though.
But
Joey Gallo hit like 40 home runs with a 210 batting average last year.
But when you see Giolito stuff, you assume 95 with all that, the two-seamer action.
He's not 95, though. Giolito's fastball's been slower.
Oh, well, I mean, he might have lost a couple
velocity
ticks, but I'm just saying, they say he's top-notch stuff, and that should translate more to Ks and not so much contact, and he's had low K rates. And
well, we're 2 starts into the season. He had 1 good start, 1 bad start. He's only given up 1 home run. Because I agree, his biggest issue last year was the long ball. Now, his issue this year is he's walked 7 or 8 guys. Yeah. And that's the same issue with Lopez. Like, you can't have 10 innings pitched with walking 7 to 8 guys. That doesn't translate to winning baseball.
Yes.
Lopez has 7 walks, but he's only given up 3 hits. I mean...
So, we all agree that the Sox are just all about player development, but who do you think are some of the assets that they might want to unload, and what kind of return do you think they'll get for them if they're having similar numbers or numbers as they had last year?
Well, the biggest asset would be Jose Abreu, and that's the biggest question is, do you trade him or do you keep him for player development?
I think you have to keep him. I mean, you look at it, you need at least one person on your team that is going to be the pillar that you build on. And, I mean, granted, the guy is 30-plus already. He's your guy. Because
now,
depends what you could get.
Does it hurt that he doesn't speak English?
Actually, it helps them because of all their young, non-English-speaking talent.
He doesn't speak any English?
Yeah, he's working on it. He talked about how he'd like to improve to become a better leader. So that makes him...
Well, I thought his whole point was he's supposed to take Moncada under his wing and be like the next Cuban sensation. Here, you're the next Abreu.
You got Louis Robert coming up. You've got a couple more that are coming up the line that he's perfect being there because he's going to tell them exactly what it's like to be in the pros.
Actually, it's got to be exciting to be a Sox fan right now.
That's why you want somebody with a maturity level at 30 years old, not 22, getting handed all this money, right? You want somebody that's kind of been there with a family, just kind of keeping them in line.
You heard about the Moncada story when he first got called, or when he first signed his contract, right? How he fell in love with the Twinkie. Like, he legitimately ate 10 to 15 Twinkies a day because he'd never had them before.
Yeah, that's why I think you need
and he had all this money so he could buy them.
What about Garcia?
It's not uncommon, though, back to Abreu, for a player to get traded and then to go back and sign with the team. So if you can persuade him that it's in the best interest of the team, and I'm sure he wants to be on a winning team, it might be something that could really benefit him if you get assets in return.
I'm sure there's going to be a team that needs first base help down the line.
Well, there's always teams that are going to need a DH help too.
Yeah, power, DH, yeah. They're going to get some decent value. I think they held on to him because they didn't have anything huge in the wings, but
he's easily their best return value.
Yeah. All you need is someone like who's playing for Boston, if like Hanley Ramirez goes down or something like that, and it's like, boom, oh, we need a power hitter, right-hander.
They still have Mitch Moreland behind them.
I mean, a real first baseman, guys.
Yeah. Before we get on Avisail Garcia, Carson Fulmer was terrible in spring training. He's been terrible with the White Sox. They used a high round draft pick on him.
I loved Fulmer.
He goes out
going
in Toronto, and he was dealing. Surprising for everybody. He had some success last year in the second half. If he can carry over that success, Don Cooper can be Don Cooper and do what he does best and take these guys and transform them into quality starting pitchers. Their starting rotation could be legit for the future.
No, Sox have a lot to look forward to. You guys have, what, 10 prospects in the top 100 in Major League Baseball?
Yeah, the most in baseball.
Who was the last team that had that many? Chicago Cubs a couple of years ago. And what happened? World Series.
That's not including Rodon.
No.
That's not including Kopech.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting moving
Lopez.
forward what these
And
young
your
guys
Machado
do.
signing next year.
James Shields. Oh, wait. Sorry.
Don't worry, they only got one more year of him left.
No,
Just
I
as-
think there's like 3 years
Just
left.
as
of
the
him, isn't
Cubs were, though, it's actually exciting to watch White Sox baseball because you have a reason,
Yes.
something's anticipation you hope to see that these players develop.
I'll be honest with you. I could not stand watching White Sox baseball the last few years, but it's been pleasantly to listen to the games lately. There's no more Hawk Harrelson. He is gone.
I miss the Hawk. I love me some Hawk.
He's just
here.
your
I'm sorry,
drunken uncle,
Benetti
man.
and Stone work so much better together than Harrelson does.
Yeah, I'm not I can't even say the guy's Benetti.
You're not a Benetti fan?
He's terrible. I hope they get him off the radio.
You
I
need
want
a,
the Hawk back too.
You
Actually.
want just the
Oh,
troll?
I love who doesn't love a
I just love
Hawkism?
hearing Hawkism.
Who doesn't love a Hawkism?
yeah. Because when the play on the field is terrible, at least you have something to look forward to.
Yeah,
At least you
yelling
get-
at an umpire.
Yeah, trashing the umpires.
Joe West this and Joe West that.
How often do you get a comparison of like Frazier and Bryant?
Without
Same-
extreme homer.
same type of player.
I think my favorite one of all time was when he was telling everybody how their shortstop 2 years ago. Who was it?
Oh, it wasn't Alexi Ramirez.
Yes, it was Alexi
Okay,
Ramirez.
so a few years
It was
ago.
3 years ago then. But how Alexi Ramirez was the best shortstop he's ever seen. He's having a fantastic season. And Stone just says, well, there's that guy in Colorado who's putting up
too
record
low.
numbers right now.
That was 3 years ago.
And Hawk just goes, well, here in the American League, it's like, you got 3 other shortstops putting up way bigger numbers than he is. Like,
Well,
Hawk, you just
That's
don't know
why
what's
you
going
gotta
on.
love Hawk a little bit.
why.
That
I
is
miss it.
why I love Hawk, actually. Because as ridiculous as Cubs fans think he is, that's the thing that cracks me up when I'm at home watching White Sox games.
Mm-hmm.
On another note, though, Avisail Garcia, baby Miguel Cabrera. Last year, that's what they called him when he was in Detroit. He was supposed to be a legit
One of the best
hitter.
hitters of all time. Okay.
Supposed to be one of the best hitters. Last year, he made his first All-Star game. Got
He looked
injured in the
legit all
second half.
season, though.
Correct.
And he started back off right where he left off last year.
And he's tearing the cover off
Did
the
you
ball again this
see
year
the
so
home
far.
run he hit in Toronto?
Oh, it was a bomb.
So
The exit velocity was 118 miles an hour.
So do you trade him?
You have to
And
trade
I-
Avi.
I
How do you
think-
keep Avi?
really?
Avi?
Yeah, because he's defensively
He's still-
he's not he's a liability. He's not as bad as the left fielder on the Cubs, but
They got time. He's a
I would
free.
think they
Still
both
young. I
He's
think
a free
you gotta
agent in
keep somebody.
2020.
Avi's not as young as
27
you
years
think he
old.
is.
He's 27 right now.
You got to think when your
That's
window of
not
opportunity
exactly
to
young.
win the World Series is going to be. That's when you need all your assets to be matured and developed.
When does a hitter hit their prime?
25? I
In
think
today's
24.
day-
24.
In today's,
Wow.
in today's
24 to
baseball, it's
29.
25
What
to
about their
26.
power goes up usually around 30?
I would say
30.
27 to 30.
Chris Bryant came in the league
I'd
at
say
24 and won
32.
MVP.
Yeah. Okay.
30 to 30
Trout
was when
was
they're starting to
MVP
go
at
downhill
23.
already.
Really?
Yeah.
Prime years, I would
Tell that to
say
Moustakas.
from right around 27.
I think that's even
think that-
pushing it. I think it's 26 minimum.
If you're talking
for
5
sure.
years ago, then yes, you're correct. But the way that everything's going, it's shifting younger and younger.
Dude,
How
these
many
guys are
players
studs.
thrive at the age of 24? Like, everybody's
In the last-
not Mike Trout or Bryce Harper.
How
So
many,
you're-
how many players
Altuve's
have
down
been
the hill
thriving
right
at
now?
24 and 25 the last few years?
Hey, Altuve, sorry.
And
I
those
thought
guys
Del
carried,
Tufo 7
carried
years
on
ago.
to have Hall of Fame careers. Like, Miguel Cabrera's best years were probably when he was right
30s.
around
30, 31.
Cabrera is 32.
I still
It's like
think
34.
that comparison is insulting.
34.
Q. Miguel Cabrera probably has a 315 average for his career. spanning over, 15 seasons. They're going to really call Avi the next Miguel Cabrera? Is that seriously the comparison?
Baby trout. Everything's about making comparisons in sports.
No, it's called
all about
hyperbole and
projecting.
over-hyping every single damn prospect. It's like Yankee syndrome. You have the next friggin', Aaron Judge.
Similar body types. I mean, similar stature.
Is Garcia that tall though?
He's pretty big.
He's
not small by any
He's
means.
Venezuelan, right? I'm assuming Avi Garcia? Does anyone know?
He's Hispanic.
Garcia. Yeah, that's
Let's be
Venezuelan.
politically correct.
that
He's
is
Hispanic.
why they called him it, because they're both Venezuelans that could hit a home run. That's it. There is no comparison other than that. Anyways,
I would hold on to him. I think you need a veteran presence around with Abreu. I think you trade one of the two, not both.
I'm glad I'm not in that position. I'm glad I'm not Rick Hahn and have to make those decisions at the All-Star break. What do you do with Matt Davidson? He hit 26 home runs last year and like 400 at-bats.
I have no faith in him.
He's 27. Obviously, Garcia is 27.
Trade him.
Jose Abreu. These guys are quality hitters right now that are producing, and we're kind of sitting here saying, oh, let's trade everybody.
Well, you should, because then in 3 more years, you'll have like 3 more top prospects to graduate that could plug holes.
That's assuming. Don't forget, top prospect value has gone exponentially higher the last few years.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying if you can sell high, sell high. That's all I'm saying.
The idea of turning Jeff Samardzija and Addison Russell as a number 1 prospect anymore, that's kind of...
Dude, at this point, I might even say that we lost that trade at this point. Minus the World Series, but I mean, come on.
Can't say we lost that trade.
Minus the World Series.
How old's Addison Russell?
You accomplished your goal.
Ask me.
You
We
didn't
don't
win that
need
trade.
Russell at all. We don't. We have a Gold Glove shortstop who could fill in his place. There's no reason for Russell at that point. I'm
As
sorry.
a White Sox fan, I can say Jeff Samardzija is not good.
Yeah, at least Addy
he
has
gets
Gold Glove
a
defense.
$100 million contract with the Giants, and guess what? He's still not good.
And now he's hurt, so yeah, it's kind
All
of
right,
cool.
well, last one I will talk about with the Sox, Tim Anderson.
Anderson.
Look at that. You called it.
I called it.
You called
You
it.
did? I was like,
I'm not
clear his
joking. I
mind
took
out.
your insight and like drafted him in like 2 other leagues.
He has
Thank
5
you.
stolen bases.
Yeah.
Which is
He's got
pretty
power.
legit. He's
taking walks.
Do you realize that for his career now, he's only been caught stealing twice?
And he signed one of those Chris Sale contracts, those long-term contracts the White Sox like to do to lock up young players. So they have team control
those
for
are
a
good.
while. My biggest problem with him is just defense. He has just defensive laps all the time.
Does he?
One of the games in Toronto, there's 2 outs, needs to make a play at second or first. He turns his head, takes his eye off the ball, bobbles it. He has plenty of time to throw the guy out at first. It's one of those bonehead plays that winning teams don't do. You can't do that.
Throwing before he has it. That's what he's done.
Man.
Just makes me scratch my head.
So I have a question to you. Now, what are your comparisons to Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams as in view of grading your GM for your team? Because you're the only Sox fan on the panel. I'm genuinely curious. Do you think Rick Hahn has taken that general manager, expertise to the next level for the Sox, and they've turned from a dud, mediocre team that's never going to make it to a shining sea of prospects coming through the woodwork?
Well, I would say I have the luxury as a fan to play the wait and see game.
Yep.
Right? Because there's tons of teams in baseball that try to rebuild this way. The Pirates were doing it for 20 years.
Yeah, that's a little too long.
I mean, it's possible that this doesn't work. The Cubs had the luxury of winning a World Series. The Astros had the luxury of winning a World Series. They made the key addition of Verlander.
Well, the Astros actually had a much longer rebuild than the Cubs did. If you think about it.
Correct.
The Astros were bad for like 6 seasons before they. I mean, they were in the 2005 World Series.
Well, they had
Sox?
to take the St. Louis's general manager Luno, right? And then they hacked their database.
Well, St.
Remember that
Louis
whole
hacked
thing?
their database.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because they
It was
took
the other way around.
proprietary
Yeah.
information and they wanted to get their scouting stuff.
But at the end of the day, you have to invest money into your baseball team. So is Jerry Reinsdorf going to invest money into his baseball team? Right now,
We're
they have
talking
one of
glowingly
the
about the Sox, and you bring up friggin'
They have one of
Reinsdorf.
the lowest payrolls. When the Cubs started to make that advancement, they signed Lester to a big contract. The
Yep.
next year, they signed Hayward, which hasn't worked out, but they still did that. They signed Zobrist to a big contract. They signed my main man, Ross, to a big contract.
Don't forget Lackey
Yeah, that
Lackey.
Lackey.
after a good
Yeah,
season.
don't forget
After
Hugh
you
Darvish.
made key trades. You
it's
get
like everywhere.
Aroldis Chapman. You
Yeah.
get
I think
Wade
you're hitting,
Davis.
You're hitting the point. I think part of the rebuild is getting those young stars, but then also making those key signings,
supplementary.
spending that money alongside with those. So
Which the Sox have
that's-
never had a problem spending money in the past.
Yeah, but
they've just spent it in the wrong places. Kenny Williams' thing of go for it every year wasn't working, and people saw that. They saw it on the north side, and that's probably why Rick Hahn finally got the keys to the car.
Yeah, but I think it's also attracting the stars. Do the stars want to go there? So that's the big
Correct,
thing. Yeah,
which
they
Theo
don't mind
Epstein
spending
is
money.
really good at.
Yeah, he
at
sold
attracting
Lester.
stars.
He convinced Lester. Yeah, we lost almost 100 games, but he sold him on the vision, right? That's what the Sox might struggle with. I'm not sure how Rick Hahn will do, but that's something to wait and see.
Yeah, you kind of need that first big domino piece to fall that Lester was. But what the Cubs do really well, or at least Theo and team, is that they do the human element of the players. What they do is they attack the wives, and hey, that's pretty smart. you want to win a guy over, get their wives to like the city, right? Mm-hmm.
It's true.
And then they'll chirp in their ear, and then boom, you sign with the Cubs and win the World Series.
Well, the Cubs have changed themselves from being kind of a organization that was run by a bunch of business people and they had no clue what they were doing.
Traumatizing years.
It really was. But they're now an organization that really kowtows to families. Their entire thing changed when they brought Theo in. When Ricketts bought the team, he tried to do it the same way that Cubs did it his first year, and he realized, I don't know what I'm doing. So he went out and got the best mind he could. And I think Rick Hahn was even on his list of candidates for that, if I remember correctly. But he finally did land Theo, and this is where we are. So that gives me, if Hahn was on that list, that makes me think that Hahn is in that same mold that Theo was.
Well, you need players, coaches, you need everybody to really sell the team. Verlander had a no trade clause, so the trade deadline's coming. Dallas Keuchel's on the phone calling Verlander, telling Verlander that he needs to waive it and he needs to go to Houston because they're going to have
I
something
did not hear
great
this.
there. And without Verlander, they don't win the World Series.
We call that the anti-Derrick Rose.
It's pretty true.
The anti-Derrick Rose.
Why would you
but-
do that to me, Derrick Rose?
But anyway, so, I mean, kind of talking about Theo, what about the Cubs, I guess?
How do I grade Theo?
No, how do you start the season with the Cubs?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Well,
I'll let you take this one.
I'll be honest. It's a tale of two different teams. Legitimately, there are two separate teams coming out there.
Yeah.
You've got the team that scores 9 runs a game, and then you got the team that has 9 strikeouts and 1 hit a game. I mean, it is.
Oh, I know.
It's very frustrating.
It is. I mean, when you look at it, they played 9 games, and as a team, they've struck out 93 times.
Yeah, there's just too much contact issues with this team.
Isn't that what they were supposed to fix with Chili Davis? That's why you fired your
yeah.
hitting coach, and Chili Davis is a contact guy.
You need
and
different
He's
hitter
not about
profiles.
launch angles. He's going to fix these guys' swings so they make better contact, so they can score runs when there's 1 or 2
Now,
outs. And
sample
runners in
size is kinda
scoring
small,
position.
Now there have been cases where, so far that I've seen, where he's worked on it. You go look at Addison Russell, and you look at Wilson Contreras. Both of them now. I mean, Wilson Contreras, his first 3 games, for some god-awful reason, struck out 7 times. He looked like crap, and then all of a sudden they sat him down and said, hey, you're trying to pull everything. Why are you doing that? And now if you looked at his last 5 games, he has shot the ball the other way.
He looks noticeably different.
He is a
at the plate.
completely different hitter
No,
in the
it's a
last
different
5
stance,
games.
too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now you look at Addison Russell. Addison Russell is just going with every pitch. He's no longer pulling off on that big swing of his.
And then swinging over the top. I hated that.
He's making fantastic. Russell struck out 4 times, and he's got 5 walks. I mean, you would never have thought that last year with the way this guy, or the year before, even when he had the 90 RBIs. He was still a high candidate for strikeouts.
I attribute this to the Derek Jeter motto. You know, you don't have baggage, you're single, roaming the town.
Oh, you think he's getting
Yeah, I think
the goodies are helping him out?
I'm a firm
He's
believer.
the Flintstone vitamins?
I'm a firm believer marriage weakens your knees.
No, but in actually, you look at it, I believe it was MLB Network did this fantastic thing when they took Schwarber's stance from last year to the first 3 games this year. And if you looked at him in his first 3 games, his swing was noticeably different. However, in these last 5 games, he is reverting back to the 2017 swing. There's a big gap. There's a big hole, and his hands aren't through the zone fast enough. Chile changed him, and you saw it in spring training. The kid was mashing everything, but he was getting through it. He was meeting the ball in front of the plate. Now he's missing the pitches again. He's getting them too deep. I mean, Schwarber is leading the team in pitches per plate appearance, but if you're not making any damn contact, there's no point.
I would be so disappointed if these are the ceilings of the Chicago Cubs players.
That's
When do
my
you guys
question.
Complete
With Ian Happ and Kyle Schwarber, huge upside guys, or that's what we're led to believe.
Half the team is huge upside.
That's what we're led to believe is that their ceilings are up here. At what point do you start to give up on Schwarber a little bit? Maybe you start benching him more.
Well,
That's a great question for Theo.
What is Schwarber? Schwarber's 24.
Yeah,
I think they're all going.
Which
at
means,
24,
according to
25 years
Camus,
old.
he's right in his prime next year.
No, he should be in his prime. He should
Well,
be
he missed an
advancing.
entire season.
He came out of college too. He was a little older, so yeah.
But I think he missed an entire season injury, so I can give him a little bit more of a leash. But
Well, Russell's been in the league for what now? 4 years? Almost 5 years? I know
No,
he's younger.
Russell's only been-
he came up at 18 years old.
yeah, but
Or 18 or 19.
The Cubs.
What was
The
it?
Cubs started him when he was in 2015. Was his first major league season.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. So what is this?
This is 2018. So
is
this
it 4 years? Like
this would be the start of his.
Yeah, four. It's fourth
this,
year.
Fourth year.
He's in the third year of his actual MLB time.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at last year, where he missed 2 months with various injuries, then he had that issue with the marital
Mm-hmm.
stuff that took him away. I mean, the guy was a wreck all season. He just could never put it together. He wasn't on the field enough.
Yeah. Now he's preparing gift baskets.
But you guys would all agree that the window is right now for the Cubs.
Oh, it's wide open.
The window's right now. So essentially, you want to maximize the window.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So at what point do you start? When does Kyle Schwarber stop getting the benefit of the doubt?
I think this will be the year we see who Theo ends up choosing.
Yeah.
So at this trade deadline, I think he's going to clear the deck for all these excessive players. You know, you don't need redundancy of second baseman on the same team.
Which is why they got rid of Soler.
Yeah, exactly. So that's going to be like similar like that, where they're just going to, you know what, screw it. Sorry, Hap, you're gone. Or sorry, Russell, we're done with you. That's how it's going to be. It's going to be one or two key guys. And
You think Javi Baez is untouchable?
I would assume anyone that gets the biggest package in return will probably be one of the people.
Which
that
I
are
still
gone.
think throughout the league, Javier Baez is getting you the biggest package.
I mean, he's the most star value.
I
If you're
agree. Well, he's the only one who can play defense out of that group of people.
Agreed.
Ian
Russell?
Happ's not a good.
Russell's a great
Russell's pretty good. I'm talking about Hap and
Almora's a
Schwarber.
great center
Hap's not a
fielder.
good center fielder.
No, he's not. Hap and Schwarber are not good, but Almora's a great center fielder. They actually say that Almora might have more value than Kyle Schwarber on
When
the
is
open
that
market.
guy going to get start?
That's the
playing
thing that
time?
makes no
That's
sense.
aggravating everybody. Is
Yeah.
why is Joe Madden not playing?
I think they're
Almora?
trying to gain value for the trade deadline. I really do believe that they're trying to boost
with
up
Hap,
those
or-
guys. No, with Hap.
Hap's value is
Russell.
going down. Schwarber's value.
It's only
was
2 weeks
down.
in, guys. Give it
Well,
at least a couple
Schwarber's
months.
stats from last year was down.
Yeah, last year. I'm talking just specifically Hap. You can't
so
really
does
say
his value just reset all of a sudden?
Well,
because
yeah,
it's
if he
a new
starts
year?
hitting 300 and friggin'
Well, see, the
400 on base
The problem with
percentage.
Ian Happ last year is he started out really well, and then the last 2 months of the season, I think he barely hit 200.
he hit 24 home runs, I think, or something. In
Congratulations, you hit
in half a
24
year.
home runs in a league that hits home runs left and right.
Okay, so I guess 24 home runs from
It's
a
not a
rookie
big deal.
in a half a season is not good. Okay.
Right? What did Hoskins have?
Yeah, okay, I guess the whole league's worrying or something. I don't know what to say.
Matt Olson, how many did he have?
F. Matt Olson, man.
I mean, seriously though, think about it. How many of these rookies put up huge home run numbers because the ball's flying out of the park?
Honestly, it is kind of fishy.
I still think you guys are avoiding a major topic, and it's with Chris Bryant hitting with runners in scoring position.
It is god
And Chris
awful.
Bryant
God.
with runners in scoring position with 2 outs, he is complete garbage.
Listen, to be fair,
Garbage.
Garbage! Chris Bryant,
Wow.
MVP, the
Garbage.
chosen one.
the MVP.
The
Yes,
chosen one.
with runners and score. Yeah, he's got great MVP numbers. He's
What?
Altuve type numbers with nobody's on.
Listen, to be
Right?
fair, timeout. When you're that good looking, you can hit whatever you want to hit with the
And
runners
you know what the
in scoring
problem is?
position.
He got married.
Yeah, he got weak in the knees.
Weakens your knees.
Actually, I was just thinking. I think Bryant's looked almost as good at the plate as he ever has this year compared to the previous seasons. I think
He
he's
said
on
he was
fire.
battling a nagging injury last year.
Last
that
year
would
he
make
hit-
a lot of sense.
Doesn't explain his 330 batting average with nobody
want-
on base and his batting average when runners are
No,
on base.
I honestly
You want
think
his
they
stats
pitch him
with runners
differently.
on base?
Yeah,
You want his
Sam.
stats? All
Sam,
right.
bring it, baby.
330 with no one's on base, right?
Oh yeah.
267 with runners in scoring position, but 209 with runners in scoring position, 2 outs with a 697 OPS, 340 slugging.
Wow.
Baez, all right, 260 with runners in scoring position.
Wait,
893.
you lost me when you said Baez.
Yeah.
Are we being
Oh,
serious?
Are we having a bias
Are
in the
you
next?
serious?
A 993 OPS with a 560 slugging loses you? All right. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you.
Bias is clutch, Steve.
I guess I can't argue with the stats.
You know
right?
what,
Kyle's gonna do it. Though.
And,
Go ahead,
and he's
Kyle.
not going to overthrow the
Yeah.
first baseman.
The numbers don't pass the eye test.
That's. I mean,
Javi's
you must be like
way
half
too
asleep
inconsistent.
watching the games then.
They're just completely different hitters, guys. That's it. I mean, Brian has literally the same at bat every single time. He will take the close pitches and then he'll swing through strike 3 on the last
Swing.
one. That's what
If it's
Bias
like
swings at everything and
outside,
strikes out.
That was
Right
his
down
problem
the middle,
last
he'll
year.
swing
He
through.
swung through so many
His
strikes in the
contact
zone.
rate dropped last year. I was like, what the hell? This guy's supposed to be awesome. He's supposed to get better. He's supposed to be like the next Mantle.
Well, here was the thing
Man.
though with last year. Nobody was bringing it up, but I believe it was the first week of August. He got hit in the wrist with a pitch, and from that point on, if you looked at his numbers, they were not the same.
Yeah.
You saying he's afraid of the ball?
No, I
No,
heard
he was battling
for
a wrist
injuries.
injury. On
Oh,
his,
wrist injury.
yeah, on his pull hand.
Well, do you guys see the Red Bull skit he had? Where he was like undercover delivering pizzas.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, that
really
was actually
funny.
pretty
Yeah,
funny.
and they were like just trashing him during the draft. They're like, he's never even hit 40 home runs, and he was like legitimately hurt. He's like, the wind blows in at Wrigley every single day. That legitimately pissed me off. By the way, I'm like,
Yeah. He does really good pranks, by the way.
Yeah,
They're
he
pretty
does.
legit.
no.
Not impressed.
Did Sosa complain about the wind blowing in when he hit 66 home runs?
Okay,
or
there's
63,
a big
whatever the
difference
hell?
though between now and then. It's called those two giant video boards. They really do change the way the wind blows in that stadium.
And I'm going to
no, I
ignore
thought
your
it-
comparison to Mickey Mantle.
They say Trout's the next Mickey Mantle.
But Trout's got another year according to your timeline. 27
Trout
down
plays
the hill.
Gold Glove
I
center
think Trout's
fielder.
27.
Mickey Mantle was
Yeah,
a
he's got
switch
another
hitter.
year. Done.
Oh, no, for Prime, you mean?
Yeah, he's pretty much done.
His Prime goes through
All right,
20,
let's bring this
30.
back to the
Yeah,
Cubs
okay,
here.
yeah.
Now, you take a look at their first three. When you look at Lester, Quintana, and Darvish in their first 3 starts each.
God, painful. But yeah, terrible first starts. But
Did you see the second start for each one of them?
yeah, I'm impressed. A lot more impressed, especially with Darvish. I know he gave up a run,
So
but
good.
you know the control, the accuracy. I mean, it was pretty good. I loved Darvish the second time around. Lester, I kind of watched that game on and off.
Lester's nibbling a lot.
Yeah.
I think he's losing his stuff.
Was the velocity still down?
No, his velocity was back up to 91, 92.
Which is where you'd like to see
Yeah.
it.
But he did get a bounce pass out at third.
That Ryan Braun play. Okay, when he stole second, I'm like, all right, Braun, that was actually pretty good. I got to hand it to you. But then when you tried for third, I mean, come on.
You're just
quit being
getting-
quit being a.
Yeah, you're just getting cocky at that point.
He was.
Well, Lester and Lackey said that they don't hit their prime until they get 100 innings under their belt. So you really can't judge him until he gets 100 innings.
Yeah, I'm
in,
not-
so not until July or August.
I'm not worried about Lester. I was a little
July.
more worried about Quintana, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
I think they're like the exact same pitcher. That's how I feel with both of them, except obviously younger.
I think
Quintana.
they're not the same pitcher. Quintana's got a better curveball. Lester's got more movement on his fastball. I mean,
Pretty
I-
similar.
but I really do like the way that Quintana, if you looked, he did not look like he had his best stuff in that Milwaukee start, and he gave up 3 hits to Milwaukee in, 7 innings, was it?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
did good.
No, he finished. He had a good game, but it just wasn't sharp.
It wasn't. Yeah, it
where
wasn't
I
sharp.
wanted it to be.
I would love to I mean, if he has a game like he did against Baltimore last year. First game he started for the Cubs, where he was.
Yeah.
I mean, if that guy can show up 5, 6, 7 times a season, you've got yourself.
Yeah, see, that's what confuses me about Quintana. I didn't watch him on the Sox for 10 years or whatever, 6 years. Is he just very inconsistent?
My concern would be how he performs in meaningful baseball games.
Yeah,
I
like
mean,
the
to be
playoffs, he
fair,
got shelled
with the
too,
White
though.
Sox,
He
yeah.
got shelled. I don't like to have 0 stat lines and then or it's 8 runs
Okay,
up. Like, is that what he normally does?
You look at last year, the Cubs went into that Milwaukee series with a really short staff pitching. They were hurt, and Quintana took the ball, and Quintana threw a complete game shutout against them, stopping the bleeding. And from that point on, I believe they swept Milwaukee, put a gap between them, and they rode right into the playoffs on that. So I mean, you got to say the guy can stop. He is a stopper.
I would say the best comparison would probably be to the best pitcher of the last decade, Mark Burley. He'll go out there and he'll give up 4 easy there, perfect game, no hitter.
No,
2005.
He's my second favorite
World
I
Series.
love
White
Burley.
Sox.
I love Burley. I just
He's the
Nobody
type of
pitches
guy who
faster.
goes out, he gives up 3 or 4 runs the first 2 innings, and then he has the capability of settling it down and pitching 6 or 7 innings, eating up some innings. But he's not that guy who's going out there like that. Like, he doesn't have Darvish stuff,
Yeah.
Kershaw stuff.
It-
He's not throwing up dimes.
The reason I wouldn't compare him to Burley is Burley just didn't throw as hard. Burley didn't have the same kind of stuff. Burley was just a bulldog and kept throwing and throwing and throwing.
didn't give you a chance to.
If I'm
regroup.
comparing Quintana to any lefty over the past decade or two, it's Mark Mulder.
What? Mark
How
Mulder.
good do you think
So
Burley?
random.
How good do you think Burley would do in today's age with the limited 7? The manager can go out only seven times because he was a workhorse. Got the games done in 2 hours, 2 hours 20 minutes. The way they tried to slow him down was all those little breaks. I think he'd benefit a lot more with this new rule in place.
I think the baseball would probably kill him worse because there'd be a lot more balls hit out of the park on him.
I
Maybe.
actually think the managers would take him out of the game quicker.
Really?
To be honest, I thought he got stronger as the games went on, but managers these days are so quick to pull their starters. He'd go 5, giving up 4 runs, and he wouldn't have the opportunity to pitch those next 2 scoreless innings because of what the data says third time through the order.
Yeah, there's teams out there right now that are doing that. They're only letting their starter go the first 2 times through the order, and once the third time comes, they're switching the pitcher, no matter where he's
Who's
at pitch
doing
count.
that?
Gabe Kapler, second time
Dude.
through the order. Let's take my pitcher.
I am so surprised. This guy's gonna get thrown out so fast of his team. He's being trashed everywhere. I'm like,
gone.
yeah, I know.
Wait, didn't the great Joe Madden defend?
Yes, Joe Madden weighed in on this. Q, you want to read this one up so I don't throw the mic through the window?
Quotes Joe Madden. But what they think they understand by they mean you, the fans. What they think they understand is bullpens. I would hope that people get a little bit more sophisticated and not just scrutinize bullpen decisions and really delve into the rest of the game.
Man, Joe Madden.
Joe Madden's basically calling out the fans because of how he has been talked about over the last 2 seasons, his very poor bullpen management.
Well, he almost
His
blew
shit
the
don't
World Series.
stink.
That's all it is. He didn't. Oh well, it's done. That's all I can say.
Okay, but if he's saying the fans don't understand, then Mr. Genius Joe Madden, explain to us,
Yeah,
dumb fans.
I think-
Explain it to us. Just explain it.
I agree.
Right? Explain it. I'm not asking for too much. Explain it.
I'm sure there's some kind of high leverage velocity contact rates that he's utilizing that they're not just shown on the screen. And I think he's using advanced metrics to determine his decisions. And you guys not understanding when he calls it out that you guys are being ignorant. Maybe you guys are being ignorant.
Well, to be
or
fair,
maybe
he was
he's
probably
being-
sympathizing for Gabe Kapler because Kapler called somebody from the bullpen who wasn't warmed up. And he's like, maybe in game 6 of the World Series, I should have taken out Chapman. I should have had somebody in the bullpen warming up instead of burning Chapman in game 6.
Up 8 runs.
Nothing will be the worst bullpen decision I've ever seen. Buck Showalter in the 1-game wild card. You're sitting on the Cy Young closer, Britton.
Zach Britton.
And you don't even
pitch
use him?
And you
When
use
like 13
third in
or
the Cy
14
Young.
innings.
yeah, you use
Oh my God.
Ubaldo Jimenez who's
Now
got
that is stupid.
Oh, my God.
But no, you
As
get back.
stupid as putting in Lackey last
Against
year
the
in the
Dodgers in the playoff
okay.
game.
I don't even
Okay,
want to
yeah.
talk about
Never
this,
pushed
dude.
out a bullpen.
We'll go back a little bit. Go back to the series with the Washington.
60-year-old
Yeah.
lackey in there.
You've got Edwards Jr., who Joe says is great, and the numbers show. Yes, he was fantastic against left-handed hitting. However, if you peeled the numbers back just a little bit, when you were talking meat of the order, he wasn't.
No.
His ERA was over 4 against people in the meat of the order, and Bryce Harper hits 120 points higher against a righty than he does a lefty.
Yeah. No.
So why are you not using his metrics to balance that out?
Because
but
you
us
just
as the
don't
fan,
understand.
us as the fan
You
does
don't
not understand.
Yeah,
that.
you don't. We're too dumb. Sorry, Joe Madden. I'm sorry. Not.
Don't get me wrong. Madden is a great clubhouse manager. He gets the best out of his teams. He gets the guys
Out of young teams.
Agreed. Out of young teams, he gets the best aura he can out of these guys. But man, when you go to game time decisions, it just doesn't make sense sometimes.
I sound like a freaking White Sox fan when you guys talk about Joe Madden. That's how much I can't stand him.
You really don't like Joe Madden?
I've gotten.
Would you rather
on
have
too
Ricky
many-
Renneria for real?
Yes.
You would take Ricky. Well, how about you? Would you trade Joe Madden Ricky Renneria for Joe Madden?
In this team, yes.
Theo did. Theo literally made that trade. He just swapped out Ricky Renteria for.
I think Joe Maddon's great for young teams.
Yeah, I'm saying,
I don't like his Kool-Aid. I get annoyed with his
I
Kool-Aid.
mean, right now.
I think he thinks he's the smartest man in the room. He doesn't like to explain himself. He hates it when you question the moves that he makes.
He does get a little.
I will never forget going to the Cubs convention after the World Series, and legitimately the Cubs won the World Series. Everybody's supposed to be happy, but there was the morning talk with Joe Maddon on the Saturday morning of the convention, and I you not the first 2 or 3 questions out is, Joe, why did you leave Chapman in the game 6 up 7 runs? Why did you bring him back after throwing 110 pitches in 3 days to again in game 7 when you knew, even by looking at it, the fastball was down 5 miles an hour?
Do you know what
you know what he did? He started to answer it, and then when somebody asked him another question that had a whole bunch more metric-based information in it, Madden just said, look, we won the World Series. Why do we still need to keep talking about this?
He kind of has a point, though.
But you still need to explain yourself.
I mean, it's always process until the result is you win the World Series, and no one gives a shit.
No, to be honest, though, some accountability. I mean, show your human side. Take some accountability and say, I made a mistake there.
Yeah.
Because
what if he doesn't think he made a mistake?
But he knows he did.
How do you know that?
You know, when I make a mistake and I don't want to admit it, you know what I say?
You
just don't understand.
What if the process was the right decision, but the result didn't end up? What if there was a distribution of outcomes, 50-50, good and bad? It's the right decision to make, but it results in a bad result. Is that still a poor decision when the process is working?
But that wasn't the scenario. You were up 7 runs.
Dude, I disagree, because when you have Chapman throwing 100 miles per hour and he's just destroying everyone else, throw him out. I have no problem with using your best pitch.
Game 7?
Okay. No,
he wasn't. I think he ticked 100 one time.
Yeah.
Okay, he's throwing 99, guys. I'm sorry.
As a White Sox fan, though,
reduced velocity.
what I want is just some accountability. And within the last 20 years, obviously, the World Series winning manager is Ozzie Guillen, and he took accountability. Anytime anything messed up or anything, he would take the blame from the players and he'd throw it right on himself, and he would say it was his fault. I mean, it would just be nice to hear that from Joe Maddon every now and then.
Well, when Joe first showed up, he was open with talking about it.
That was a part of the process.
And everybody really liked Joe Maddon when he did that. But as he's been here, it's like, I don't know if it's a Chicago media, the Chicago fan base, whatever it is, it's like molded him to be like every other manager that's ever been here in Chicago, where they no longer tell you what they think, and they're just like, well, we did it this way because we did it this way.
Yeah, that gets annoying.
It does.
And then when you start losing...
That's what it is. We're not losing yet.
Yeah, but I think if you explain yourself and you're honest, when you lose, the fans can accept it. But when you're being like a and when you start losing, that's when the fans will turn on you really quick, because they remember that. Even media will remember that.
It'll be essentially now it's World Series or bust. Like, it's a disappointing year if the Cubs don't win the World Series.
Yeah.
Those are the expectations going in. So if the Cubs don't win this year, you're 2 years removed from winning the World Series, and those questions start to build up on what is going on here.
You signed the biggest free agent. You were you made the NLCS. The expectation better be the World Series.
Yeah, I mean, you've made the NLCS 3 years in a row. If you don't make the NLCS this year, then there's a problem.
All right, I'm just gonna change topics really quick. What do you guys think about all of Major League Baseball in the first week? You guys look at Bryce Harper, my boy. A year before he signs with the Cubs, he's just mashing. He really wants to settle in at number 2 in the lineup. That's for damn sure. Thoughts?
I'm not getting overly excited. He did the same thing last year. It's a long season. We said he's going to get injured. He's going to get injured at some point. He's going to put up great numbers.
Rumors has it he's engaged. Bad sign.
No, he already got married.
Oh my God!
Him and Brian in the same offseason.
He can't be married.
No, for real. And their wives are friends. That's why everyone thinks he's gonna join the Cubs.
I'm gonna have to double check that, because
no, he's married. I saw it on Instagram. I totally follow Bryce Harper because he drops hints. He's always going out with Chris Bryant, and I'm like, damn, he's coming in.
Trolling the shit out of the public.
I mean, he's probably leveraging people like me. He's gonna join the Cubs, and then we're like, Theo comes out and he's like, sorry, we got Hayward's contract on the books, and I'm like, no.
So I want to point something out. Through the first 5 games of every team, so the first 150 games played in this season, there's been 177 home runs already.
Jesus.
Yuck.
And I looked
90s all over
I looked
again.
at the list this morning.
Not a whole lot by Stanton, I'll say that.
Half of them from Matt
Well, he's got
Davidson.
2. 3.
Matt Davidson.
Got a whole lot of strikeouts too.
Oh, he does.
Stanton's been struggling. He was getting booed.
But if
I
you
can't believe they booed him. What
well, when,
only in the
when
only
you
New
throw
York.
up a platinum sombrero twice in the first week,
It's his first week on the job. Holy crap.
More
Boom, out of
strikeouts
town.
in 2 weeks than Joe DiMaggio had in an entire season.
I saw that stat. I was like, damn, they're doing him dirty. Busting out the Joe DiMaggio comps. 14 strikeouts into the year. Jeez.
He's got more
But-
home runs than Stanton and more
but
strikeouts than.
you look at it now, the way the league is everybody either wants to hit the home run or they strike out. They don't care that they strike out. I mean, if you look at the launch angles, I believe it was 538 did a expose on the launch angles. The launch angle was 10.2 and 15, 10.8 and 16, 11.1 and 17. So far, although it's a small, I mean, you've only had X amount of games, but take all those at bats and take the launch angles. The launch angle's up to 13.7.
Yeah. You know why that is, right?
Why?
The run expectancy of fly balls is skyrocketing with the juice ball.
Skyrocketing?
Yes.
Get out of town.
You don't believe it because it's all home run.
So here's my
Fly
question.
ball, pop up, home run.
Now that seems to be the biggest problem with the Cubs. They can't get anybody on base. They've got 8 home runs as a team. Whoopie-doo. But if you can't get anyone on base, you're not going to score any runs.
I'm sick of solo home runs too. I'm not gonna lie.
It seems like that's all they're hitting is either solo or 2-run home runs. There's
Chris Bryant special.
Yeah, pretty much.
It
It is
is.
a Chris Bryant special.
And I know how
Sorry, I'm
the
a
metrics have been told over the last 2 years is strikeouts are okay because you're going to hit more home runs. But the way the ball is now, expectancy of just fly balls are going out of the park. I mean, if you look at the exit velocities on normal fly balls, you're getting home runs off of balls that are hit at like 92 miles an hour.
Yeah.
They're
That's
just carrying out of the park. So
juiced.
why
to the
in the
gills.
world is it okay to have guys striking out like crazy trying to hit these 450-foot home runs when you can give me a guy who, you know, is going to strike out 60 or 70 times a season but put ball in play a whole lot more, and he'll still hit you 30 home
Well,
runs.
I'm not sure anybody's arguing that,
Yeah.
though. Who won the World Series last year? Was that the
It's
Astros?
Astros.
Oh, who's hitting second in their lineup? Is that
Bregman?
that little
Was it Bregman?
Hispanic guy?
No,
Is that,
Bregman was hitting 2.
Two.
Altuve
so
was
three. The
leadoff. Oh, he's
MVP's
3.
in 3. Bregman's a contact hitter. Awesome walk to strikeout rate.
Yeah, no.
Altuve, one of the league
I think
leaders
we're-
in
yeah.
batting average, MVP. Awesome walk to strikeout rate. The Astros aren't building their team that way.
No, the Astros have built their team off of contact.
I think we're all in agreement, Kyle. You know, but
Yeah.
But we are in this room.
Yeah.
But we are
Oh, yeah.
we are wrong in the sense of what the public says or the media or the people in the know say that it's okay to strike out as many times as you are as long as you're hitting a home run.
No, I think that's a misconception. Strikeouts are essentially an out, if you really think about it.
Agreed.
You lose the opportunity cost of a bobble or reaching base or hitting a hole. But in reality, it really is just an out. And if you look at the numbers in totality, the run expectancy is not that much different via different outs. What your problem is that our players are making too many outs, meaning their on-base percentage is too low, and therefore we don't have enough runners, and our solo home runs all suck. And that's it. You know,
However, it's not just with the Cubs. It is league wide that the home run rate has gone up for every team, but the strikeout rate has skyrocketed. The on base percentage has shrank.
this is why I think the on-base percentage has dwindled. People like Ohtani come into the league. Did you guys look at his start? Did you guys see his highlights on his last start? He was unbelievable. This guy is spotting 100-mile-an-hour fastballs from a starter, and then a split finger 88 off the table. What do you have, 12 strikeouts in a perfect game through 7 or something? Those are the type of guys that everyone in the league is going through, and I just think pitchers have elite stuff, and it's hard to make consistent contact all the time. And I think that's just a trend with pitching, and why there's huge contact issues.
But why
in the
is
league.
the overall ERA of pitchers higher? They're giving up, their WHIP is higher. They're giving up more runs. They're walking more people.
Well, the bullpen is going into the game quicker. That's essentially playoff baseball.
Yeah.
Your starting pitcher, like Rich Hill, goes 5 innings. He's dealing. He only has given up 2 base hits, and he gets pulled. I mean, that's not the way baseball was played before. It'll be interesting to see if it starts to go back to that old way. Because the way it's going now, the Dodgers bullpen died in the World Series.
Well, have you
look
looked
at your
at
closer? How'd your closer pitch in the World Series?
Look at Kenley Jansen right now. He can't pitch. He's been awful.
Anyways, at the end of the day, it's 2 weeks in. We can't take too much into the numbers. The only thing I'm going to have to say is the other dick move of the first 2 weeks was Brian Dozier complaining about a bunt in the ninth. They got veterans.
Yeah, that's pretty shitty, man.
Bigger garbage than Chris Bryant.
It wasn't even a no-hitter.
No, it was just a complete game shutout, and they put the shift on the guy. I'm sorry if you're putting a shift on
They
somebody.
loaded the bases, right? They loaded the bases. You never know. I've seen teams score 7 in an inning before, and the guy was just complaining. Oh, but I'm not going to say anything because they have veterans. No, Dozier, I think halfway midway through your sentence, you realize you're an idiot, and that's why you.
Yeah, you realize that you're going to be crucified by everybody.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, Brian Dozier is ridiculous, as unbelievable, but
Free agent next year, by the way. Go ahead.
But
no, I was gonna say that's the end of the episode,
Wait.
guys. Oh wait, you had something else?
if you're a young prospect, I have a lot of statistics and correlation maps that you get married, your knees get weaker.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
I'm sure your
Just
wife is
prepare
going to
your
love
Derek
that.
Jeter gift baskets. That's all you need.
And when your kids watch this in a couple of years,
They're going to be thanking me.
This kid's gonna be the next Jeter, and then you'll be like, damn, he was right this whole time.
well,
All right, so that's it, and we'll see you next week. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and like us on Facebook. See you next time.